Hey, Noodle Yeti here, at your service. And this is your VIP ticket to the making of Applegate, a dream city crafted brick by brick in City Skylines. Today marks the grand unveiling of part 1 in this mini build series where we'll be sketching out the blueprint of our humble village and setting up the inaugural blocks for those sweet first 2 milestones. Whether you're fresh off the boat newbie like me or a battle-hardened city planner looking to brush up your skills ahead of City Skylines 2, you have docked at the right port. This series is tailor-made for you, designed to launch or relaunch your journey of city creation. Maybe you've missed a couple episodes, but fear not, I've got your back. Click the link in the playlist in the description below for a trip back into the guides. So sit back, relax, and let's take a peek into what the masterminds behind Applegate have been cooking up. Imagine yourself in the shoes of those dreamer city players. The first order of business? Convincing the local government that their plans weren't some wild nonsense dream, but a blueprint for a thriving, organized cityscape. Trust me, when it comes to building on their turf, governments are as finicky as a cat with a new brand of food. Our architects didn't bat an eye. They dove headfirst into the ocean of available maps, resurfacing with a treasure chest full of data. As for the missing pieces of this puzzle, they turned to the pros, piecing together a jigsaw of knowledge. It was the high-ranking project manager who had a moment of clarity. Let's start with the end goal and reverse engineer our path. And so they did. They plotted out the nerve centers, harbors, train stations, highway interchanges, and sketched the skeleton of the city functions. Rich earth, mining sector. Fertile lands, agriculture. Prime locations, tourism, and high density. Once the rough zonings were chalked out, they drafted the arteries and veins of the city, the road network, in line with the golden rules of road hierarchy. As for the less glamorous parts of town, well, low-density housing and generic industry, giving the less fortunate a roof and a job. After all, even a metropolis needs its underbelly. All right, friends. I have some top secret tips and tricks to share about our grand plan. Firstly, if you want to peek at all of the info views on a potential map just like me, well, your magic wand is the base game mod, Unlock Everything. With it, every available info view is now at your fingertips. Secondly, you might be wondering about my rather fancy Photoshop. Now, I admit I went a bit overboard, but who could resist a bit of flair? Plus, it's good practice for me, but don't let that deter you. A vivid memory or good old Microsoft Paint can work just as well. Last but not least, after this segment, we say goodbye to the Unlock Everything mod, retaining only the Unlimited Resources mod. I've also added a few production-related mods for that extra pizzazz in your viewing pleasure. Now, let's talk numbers. I'm talking tiles, milestones, population, all the nitty-gritty that didn't make it into the story. This plan sprawls across 5 to 6 tiles, which means about 10 to 11 milestones. This also hints at our finished city housing at least 24,000 folks. Armed with this detailed plan, it's time to strap on our blinders and zero in on the task at hand. All right, my future city planners, let's dive right in. We start small, limited by a tight budget, but a lavish cityscape isn't born overnight, and definitely not with this bank balance that's almost screaming at us. So no mindless splurging on fancy roads, we can't make mistakes, we gotta have tact and patience. We kick off the game here paused and get our first connection to the highway up and running. And I have chosen, drumroll please, a roundabout. Maybe I'm a bit too smitten, but their smooth traffic flowing goodness is hard to resist. This is a 14 unit wide beauty. No clue if it's the optimal size, but hey, personal preference is important. All right, with that done, let's pave our arterial towards our first residential area. We've got to visualize our city's future, so each step is deliberate, like a chess grandmaster planning moves in advance. Next, our first collector road branches off, heading towards the spot destined for our local road connection. And yes, it's roundabout time again for this collector to arterial intersection. We're placing local road connections with future-proofing in mind. As we upgrade the collector to a 4-unit wide road, it nudges the zoning back by 1 unit on both sides. So, we add an extra unit when drawing the local road. That way we ensure ample amount of space once the collector actually upgrades. And this local road, well, this one right here is going to act as the neighborhood's pseudo collector. In this cul-de-sac, we're not worrying about traffic zipping through. We're focused on easy access in and out of this neighborhood. So next, let's plot the streets. And hold on, I'll be right back with this sketched out. Okay, back with our budding neighborhood. Now we want to get strategic with zoning. We want zones oriented towards the crossroads, not the central road. The exception to this is the outside roads here, which will have zoning on the external side, and the back cul-de-sacs over here with full zoning on both sides. This is intended to help reduce conflict on our pseudo collector, helping to speed traffic on just a little bit faster. We can paint these zones now, but hold our horses. We're not unpausing just yet. Time to shift our gaze to a combined city service generic industry area. Just a tiny one for now, enough to help kickstart our residential demand. Our goal, remember, is to reach the first 2 milestones with a positive income. So, I'll draw a short collector road a little ways past this highway's connection. The specifics of the road layout aren't crucial right now. Traffic flow will take the spotlight, but later on. With that sorted, let's add some city services and fill in with industrial zoning. We're bringing in an advanced coal power plant for, yes, you guessed it, power. And an eco-inland water treatment plant for, surprise, surprise, sewage. Once they're in, this area is ready for industrial zoning. But wait, we're not hitting play just yet. We've still got to consider water and, well, budgeting. I'll be placing a water tower within the first roundabout, off-center just enough to accommodate future public transportation passing through the center. Okay, now onto our budget. We'll dial everything down to a minimum to prevent overspending. We'll delve a little more into this later on, but for now, let me quickly get the power lines and water pipes installed, and then we'll watch our city take its first breaths. Talk about timing with that sunrise. Absolutely poetic. Well, we have hit our first milestone, Little Hamlet. Along with it come essential city services like garbage, healthcare, education, and more. Now, if your road building enthusiasm or mistakes has left your city coffers feeling a little light, don't worry. All we really need to deal with right away is garbage. Sims can cope without immediate healthcare or education, but no one wants a mountain of trash on their doorstep. If you're low on funds, you have options. First, you could bump your city taxes from 9% to 12%, but do not go over. Your Sims will complain and potentially leave. Honestly, I think raising taxes is something we should all be doing in this game anyways. Now, if that's not enough, there is the last resort: taking out a loan. It provides a quick cash injection that might be enough to get your garbage services up and running. But remember, it will eat into your weekly income. Once we've ensured a healthy bank balance, we can consider expansion. I'll be setting up a recycling center just past this power plant. Now, speaking of power plants, it's going to be worth visiting our city services and adjusting their budgets accordingly. Since we're looking to nearly double our population, our service usage is going to climb. So just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and increase our electricity and our water budgets slightly, while also reducing garbage, medical, and education ahead of time, just to save us a little bit of money. Now, back to the topic of expansion. You might notice that our housing demand is a bit sluggish, but don't fear, I have a strategy. By adding a few more industry buildings and completing this first neighborhood, I believe we should be able to hit the next milestone. So, let's get to work. Almost caught the sunrise again. We were a little early, but that's all right. We have advanced to our second milestone, Worthy Village. This advancement unlocks a wealth of tools and introduces two critical services: fire and police. I always strive to place these services, including healthcare, as close to an arterial road as possible. This isn't a hard and fast rule, rather it's just a personal preference that I find soothing. To cover some of the changes that weren't in the time-lapse, I extended the initial industry road and added 2 more. This was to help ensure that we reached our next milestone. But anyways, back to the services at hand. To properly situate both fire and police, I plan to upgrade this segment of Collector Road. I have plans for a new neighborhood on the other side, so to have the city services off of this road would not only provide easy access, but also improve the surrounding land values. A quick tip here, I'll be choosing the Heart of Korea Content Creator Pack for both of these services. It offers slightly cheaper options with a reduced upkeep cost, giving our budget a bit of a breather. Now, regarding healthcare and education, I think we might need to hold off on those until our city budget is a bit healthier. However, that as a benefit, that does give us more time to plan effectively and ensure that these services are positioned as best as we can. Well, folks, that wraps up our first episode. We have achieved our goals. We've done our due diligence with proper reconnaissance, mapped out a modest plan, and started laying the groundwork for a bustling city. I thought it would be fun to leave you with a hint of what's in store for next time. Let's mix things up a bit and add some commercial flavor, shall we? Let's take our district tool and brush it over this fresh collector. Then we'll take our specialization here and add the organic and local produce. Intriguing, right? I wonder what that suggests for our future city's development. Should you crave more details on commercial, be sure to check out the guides in the playlist. The link is in the description below. And let's play the social media symphony. Feel free to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and share with your fellow city planners. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. And I hope to see you in episode 2. Bye-bye.